Good morning, everybody. This is the Personal Playlist Podcast, fondly referred to as the P3, live on VoiceEd Radio.
Music is a world within itself, with a language we all understand, with an equal opportunity for all to sing, dance, and clap their hands. Well, just because the record has a groove don't mean
I am so excited to welcome Ramona Meharg here on the Personal Playlist Podcast. She has an honors Bachelor of Arts in History and English from the University of Guelph, and her Bachelor of Education is from St. Thomas University in Fredericton, New Brunswick, home of the Tommies. She's been teaching for what seems like 10 minutes, she says, but it's actually 24 years. Some of her early teaching assignments include teaching English in a youth detention facility, intermediate math and language arts, high school history and English, a time and special education department head and learning support teacher. Currently, and for many years now, she's been teaching students with developmental disabilities in the secondary school Congregated special education class in the Thames Valley District School Board. Welcome to the show, Ramona.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited to be here with you, Noah.
I'm excited to have you. You have been an early adopter of the P3 and an absolutely wonderful support. I was elated to see that one of the goals in your life was to be on the P3, just not knowing it until when we started the show a year ago. So I'm glad that this finally came to fruition.
Yeah, I check off the bucket list now.
Woohoo, I'm on your bucket list.
On my bucket list. Be on the
That's
P3.
so cool. Listen, it's a wonderful experience, and I feel so lucky. You know, you gravitated to the idea, you brought it into your classroom, and what I learned from you is that it really has no boundaries. And I would love to hear a little bit about having the P3 with your students or doing the P3 with your students.
Yeah, yours was probably one of the early podcasts I started listening to regularly on VoiceEd, and I just loved it. And I thought, you posted a link to building outside the box, and I thought, that P3 sounds like something that my students could do because they all love music. They've always got their headphones on, and so we gave it a try this spring, and it was quite amazing the things that they were able to share by sharing those 3 songs. And they were so involved in it and so excited about doing it. And I gave them the option of creating. They could create pretty much whatever they wanted. Most of them liked the slideshows, and that's okay. And they, imported the videos of their favorite songs in. But the important part of it was when they were sharing it with the class, and they had more time. Like they had another month of time to work on it, mostly on their own time, but some class time. And the ones who were done early were begging me to present. Like they could not wait to share what they had to say with the class. And so for those guys, we did it on a Friday afternoon, a bit earlier for them. And it was so powerful sharing their thoughts and their ideas about the songs and what they mean to them and their memories. And the other kids were just enthralled watching the whole situation evolve around them. It was very powerful.
And I really so appreciated you sharing it with me, not just in images on Twitter, but you shared some video. It was a profound thing for me to learn because it's through people using this project as the Personal Playlist Project in their classrooms that helps me see the real reach of what the work that we're all doing together can mean. So I'm really grateful about that. So you grew up in Elgin County, and you said in a small house on a dirt road surrounded by a loving family and influenced by your gigantic network of Dutch grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins. And one of the things I really was interested about what you were saying was about your favorite line in the book Text by S.E. Hinton, that there are people who go and people who stay. And although you like to visit interesting places, you know that you're one of those people who stays. What does that mean?
I think I read the book as a teenager, and I think it really came back for me. We had a 25-year school reunion. Yeah, I'm really old. Okay. Anyways, but we had a 25-year school reunion, and there were some of the folks who came back who had done just amazing things with their lives. One was playing in a symphony orchestra, and one was working for a big multinational corporation. And one of the girls said to me, "I'm just amazed that there are people who are still here that have made their lives like here in Elgin County." And it right away, I thought about that quote from S.E. Hinton saying there are people who go and people who stay, and that it's okay to be people who go and it's okay to be people who stay. But I know that I'm a person who stays, that home is such a part of who I am that I love to go other places. I love to see new things, but I'm always eager to come home and reground myself and reroot myself. That roots are very important to me. If that makes any sense.
That, of course, it makes sense. And it's actually a really perfect segue to what we're doing here today. So the Personal Playlist podcast is where people bring 3 songs, one that's nostalgic, one that reflects your identity, and one that lifts you up, picks you up, inspires, or motivates. And let's start with the roots and that nostalgic song that grounds you to your past. So why did you pick the song that you picked, and what does it say to you?
I thought about it for a little bit as maybe my identity song, but I think that your identity comes from choices that you make. And the song that I picked for my nostalgia song is not really a song that I picked. It was a song that was picked for me. It's Ramona by Slim Whitman, and it's the song that gave me my name. So my parents used to go to the dances. That's what they did in the old days before social media. They actually went to dances and danced with each other. And it was a song that was often played. And my dad particularly loved the song. And so when they were married and I was the first child, that my dad said to my mom that, it's got to be Ramona. So that's the song that gave me my name. And that's probably why I picked it as my nostalgia song, because not only did it give me my name, but I remember as a child on Sunday mornings, because Dad was self-employed, so he worked a lot of Saturdays and Sunday afternoons, but Sunday mornings he would get up and get the old record player fired up, and they would play songs that they used to dance to, and Mom and him would dance. But quite often as little girls, so my sisters and I would end up, dancing with our dad with our feet on his feet in the living room. And of course I would always request Ramona, because that was a part of the connection between me and my dad. And he taught us to foxtrot, and he taught us to waltz, which are probably skills not a lot of people need anymore, but it's interesting. It was an interesting lesson in life, and it's something that binds me with my family. I don't know. It's kind of a strange song. It's an very old fashioned song, but it's very much, whenever I hear it, it brings me right back to those days as a child with my family.
Amazing. What a beautiful image you painted. Let's add the soundtrack to that. Stephen?
Ramona, I hear the mission bells above. Ramona, they're ringing out a song of love. I press you, caress you, and bless the day you taught me to care, to always remember the rambling rose you wear in your hair. Ramona, when day is done, you'll hear my call. Ramona, we'll meet beside the waterfall. I dread the dawn when I awake to find you gone. Ramona, I need you, my own.
It's amazing to have a song that sings your name. I don't have that, but after we named our youngest daughter Julia, I was in the hospital with her for a long time, and I didn't realize I had the White Album on my playlist. And hearing that song when we were in the hospital, the comfort that it gave me. So you telling that story of that song and that image of dancing on your daddy's feet, like those are so special. And although it might not be a song that you chose, I see why it paints such a wonderful image of your life and that sense of family that you described. How do you feel hearing it now?
Oh, as soon as it started to play, I was back in that living room on that yellow shag carpet, riding around on Dad's feet. And it also has another memory too, because that's the song I chose as our father-daughter dance at my wedding. And so sometimes that picture, that image jumps back into my mind when I hear it as well, even though like that version of the song is about as kitschy as it comes.
Well, the role that music has in nostalgia is so powerful. And, sometimes we play around for fun in my family and we do like a P3 style for different books or different movies, but nothing quite resonates like like a playlist. And your second song on your playlist, I mean, I've only known you for a short time and never had the privilege to meet you in person, but I so see this song in you. And it was really nice that you brought it back into my mind. This is an opening track on a 1976 album. What does this identity song say about you?
It's a song that from the first time I heard it, I always liked. I thought it's got such a lovely message, and it's so much of what I hope that I am and what I try to be. And maybe I don't always achieve it, but it's always the goal. So, I mean, it's shower the people, and the line "shower the people you love with love." I mean, how can you go wrong if you do that? Whether it's your family or the people in your community or your students, you just can't go wrong if you follow that pathway.
You can play the game and you can act out the part, though you know it wasn't written for you. But tell me, how can you stand there with your broken heart, ashamed of playing a fool? But one thing can lead to another. It doesn't take any sacrifice. Oh, father and mother, sister and brother, if it feels nice, don't think twice. Just shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna work out fine if you only will. Do as I say.
A beautiful song is opening track in the album In the Pocket, and the song actually features Carly Simon on backup vocals, which makes it extra special. But that whole idea of love and sunshine and spreading it, actually infusing it with more, everything that you do, even just listening to your podcast, which we didn't really talk about so far. I'd love you to work that in, shows that you really love the work that you do and the people in your life matter to you so much. So tell us about your podcast and how you shower the people through the conversations you have.
So my podcast is called I Wish I Knew EDU, and the concept behind it is to talk to teachers, you know, whether they're in the early years of teaching or like me in their maybe waning years of teaching, or even retired teachers, about the things that we love about our job and the opportunities that we've had, and the amazing things that can happen in a classroom, and that make our job so special. And it also ties in with my love of mentoring, because I think it's so important for us to share those things that we've learned, not just sharing the love, but sharing our learning and the things that have helped us along the way. So someone helped me when I started teaching, and it's important for me to pass that on to the teachers who come beyond me. So even when I retire, that there is a record of the things that have happened in the past, and we can learn from those things. So I love the podcast. I love getting a chance to talk to all these teachers, and it's always wonderful when they say yes, that they'll come on the show. But I love hearing the different ways that they're showering the people they love with love, that the different things that they're doing in their rooms and around the world in education is kind of what really floats my boat with the podcast.
Yeah, it's floating my boat too, because I've spent a lot of time preparing for our recording tomorrow. It is there are a lot of really interesting questions and things I had never or hadn't considered for a long time about how I ended up where I am and some of the things that I wish I knew. So I'm really looking forward to recording with you tomorrow. It's true. I think that there are so many educators that are showering the people, and you know, when you have a sense of yourself and you know what it is that your purpose is, you're reminded that the more you give, the more you get. And some people worry about that love aspect and they try to hold back because they feel they'll get depleted. But people like Ramona, people all over Voice Ed Radio, a place really worth, you know, checking out and supporting. And if you haven't seen the GoFundMe page, you should check it out, because all the little things that happen here really come from the vision of Stephen Hurley and all the people he's invited into this space. And we're hoping to foster the showerers so that we can all share in this great world of education and learn from each other and mentor each other and be able to infuse ourselves with all those great ideas of that come forward, how to innovate, of how to be the best teachers and people that we can be to do the great work that we want to do for our learners. But sometimes it can be really hard. And that Pick Me Up song is really for people to find ways out of difficult situation or to feel better about their day. So when you were trying to choose a song, because you had a lot of things you could have chosen, and I'm going to hopefully have time to talk about that later, but why did you settle on this particular song?
That's probably the Pick Me Up song is probably the one on my own personal playlist that changes the most often. And it's always got to be a song that's fun. It could be Stevie Wonder. It could be the Stones. It could be anything really. Probably not Slim Whitman, but it's a song that just makes me want to dance. It's the song that I'm driving home from work from, and I put it on and I crank it. And, of course the kids walking along the street are hearing the bass in the song and thinking I'm nuts, but I am car dancing along. And so I love the message and Can't Stop the Feeling, because it's all about being positive and passing that positivity on, and you can't contain your joy.
You know what? From the moment I heard that song, that's such a great descriptor. The artist who wrote this song wrote it for an animated feature, I guess I can say Trolls, and actually starred in it opposite actress Anna Kendrick. So why don't you introduce us to the name of the song, and Stephen will play it.
Well, it is Justin Timberlake with Can't Stop the Feeling.
I got this feeling inside my bones. It goes electric wavy when I turn it on. Off from my city, off from my home. We're flying up, no ceiling when we in our zone. I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot blood in my body when it drops. Ooh, I can't take my eyes off of it, moving so phenomenally. You're more like the way we rock it, so don't stop. And under the lights when everything goes, nowhere to hide when I'm getting you close. When we move, well, you already know. So just imagine. Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feel good creeping up on you. So just dance, dance, dance. Come on. All those things I shouldn't do, but you dance, dance, dance. And ain't nobody leaving soon, so keep dancing. I can't stop the feeling. So just dance, dance, dance. So just dance, dance, dance. Come on. Ooh, it's something magical. It's in the air, it's in my blood, it's rushing on. I don't need no reason.
They're just songs. Like, you might define this as like an up-tempo, poppy, funky kind of song. But it is sunshine, and it just goes back to all of the things that you've talked about. And there are just so many things that we can't stop this feeling. We can't stop this feeling of what it means to be part of the Voice Ed community, part of the Voice Ed family, what it's like to invite people here to this space, people like you, Ramona, who are doing great things in education, and also, nurturing the people who are also doing great things in education to come and tell their stories. This best-selling song that won a Grammy for Best Song for Visual Media. It's a song that keeps on giving. And if you guys have ever been on Go Noodle, you'll see that there's a Can't Stop This Feeling version for the classroom that's so adorable. And it's certainly part of my classroom playlist often. And it turns a frown upside down. Ramona, one of the things that I want to talk about quickly that you did was in your P3, you actually did an exemplar for your class. And you talked about how this song was replicated by or covered by other bands. And the video that you have in your example is actually from one of the bands, Fame on Fire, that covered it. What was your hope when you were choosing that in your presentation that you did for your students?
It's funny because that came out of Justin Timberlake's version as well, because it's often on Fridays we always do a get up and get moving kind of thing in the morning, and we'll play different songs, and on Fridays the kids usually pick the song, and if they can't come up with a song we can dance to, then Mrs. Meharg gets to pick. And Mrs. Meharg lately always picks Justin Timberlake song. And I have a couple in my class who can't stand Justin Timberlake. So I started looking for other versions of the song to play so that we could still hear that song, but it wasn't Justin Timberlake who they were against seeing on the big screen. And so that is probably why I did that. And I still love the song, and I love what you say about it. It's a sunshine song. So even if it's not Justin Timberlake saying, sometimes in the middle of the day I'll just burst out, "Can't stop the feeling," and we all laugh and carry on. So
that's awesome. You gave me a whole list of songs that you coulda, woulda, shoulda done. There are some really interesting songs on there. It must have been very difficult choosing. So how did you get to the songs that you did actually choose?
Well, a few that I thought about choosing. I mean, the Keith Urban song is "Only You Can Love Me This Way," which is kind of a schmaltzy love song, but I just love the message in it where he talks about I could have gone another way, or we could have gone another way, and that always makes me think about that we all make choices in our life, and the choices that we make, they're right for us, and so that we are on the right path based on the choices that we make. So we could have gone a different way, but no, we're on this path, and this is a good path to be on. And I love the Beatles. Obla Di Obla Da is another one that I love. And life goes on. Like whatever happens, we pick ourselves up and we keep going.
That was actually the original intent, was that was going to be the theme song for the P3. And when I was trying to come up with words to describe the show, I came up with a line from the Sir Duke song, which is where I got to it. But It's funny. It's true. Like that song just gives you that positive feeling. And I don't know, sometimes if you have the right soundtrack, you really can feel like life can go on and you can do anything. I'm really grateful that you made time to spend this time with me, but you do so many interesting things that I want to come back to before we go. You're interested in all things techie, developing rich educational experiences, and building community in your classroom. Do you want to elaborate on any of those aspects of what you do?
Yeah, I like all the tech that we're using now, because I find that educational technology, especially when you're working with special education students, is the leveler. It's the equality, that there's things that my students couldn't do 10 years ago that they can do now. So students who are selectively mute or have problems speaking can now use technology to speak for them, and they can create videos and be same staircase as their peers to bring them to that same level, so that they can all participate equally.
Yeah, I agree. I think that beyond the staircase, technology is a ramp that evens out the playing field and gets you to the same location, just sometimes in a different way. And it really is an opportunity to use a tool as a means to an end to get students feeling capable and get them to be able to share all the things that they haven't been able to share previously because of whatever challenges that they have, whatever things, stumbling blocks in their path. This really does help to clear the way. What about building community?
I did the one word challenge this year, and I picked relationships. And I think that it's always been an important word for me, whether I realized it or not, that nothing goes right in your classroom if you haven't built a relationship with the kids first. They're not going to take risks if they don't trust you. They're not going to share what's going on in their lives with you if they don't trust you. So if you can't build that relationship, there's not a lot of academics that are going to happen. So building community in my classroom is really important to me.
I think you refer to the paramount nature of the social emotional aspects of the teaching profession. So often we go to content first, but content can only be delivered in a safe space. And we need to create those spaces with the people in the room, for the people in the room, and for all of us to get the most out of our learning exchanges. One of the other things that you do besides mentoring new teachers is you're actually a Google and Apple certified educator. And you say an A+ planner of field trips, which is amazing. Do you get to utilize that role in the greater school community?
The Google or the A+ field trip planner?
All of it. I'm assuming people enlist your skills.
Well, we do an awful lot of field trips. I love taking the kids out of the building for the experiential learning. We love going. There's a outdoor education center nearby in Elmer. It's about 15-minute bus ride out there. We like to take every other year. We try to take a big trip to the big city out where you are, out in Tirana, and do something interesting there. Because a lot of our kids, they never get out of their own neighborhood other than to come to school. So it's important to me to share that with them. And honestly, you know, when we're on a field trip and we're experiencing all these things, and you see that look on the kids' eyes, like, wow, you know, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, they pay me to do this. I can't believe that they pay me to take kids on trips like this, because it's the joy that they feel brings me joy.
You know, you're such an authentic person, and I think that people like you in education makes us all lucky that we get to learn from you, and that you get to model and mentor what it is that you do and shower the people you love with love. Ramona will often tell people that she has the best job in the world and loves her time in her classroom and with her students. She loves to learn new things, to garden, spend time with friends, bake and golf, and has been known to spend too much time putting cat gifs onto Twitter and hanging out with her PLN. Is there anything you want to add before we play you out?
Well, Noah, just thanks so much for having me. Like I said, I've been a follower since you started the P3. I think it's a great thing to not only podcast, but to share with your students if you get the opportunity. And sharing this with such a genuine and wonderful educator as yourself has been, like I said, I'm crossing off my bucket list, but I'll come back anytime.
Well, you're hanging out with me tomorrow to record your show. So if you want to get in touch with Ramona, you can find her on Twitter. You can reach out to her about her podcast, I Wish I Knew EDU. Is there any other way you want people to connect with you?
No, that's probably the best. I'm on Twitter way too much, so you're probably going to catch me there.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you so much for joining us on the Personal Playlist Podcast.
Thank you for joining us on the P3, the Personal Playlist Podcast. I'm Noah Daniel. This is Voice Ed Radio, and I hope you have a fantastic day.